Here's how I made my Mojo Jojo cosplay by scratch. Say that 3 times fast. For his helmet, I used a Halloween bucket as my base, covered the entire thing with masking tape, then drew out where I wanted his brain to come out of the helmet. I cut out the crack with my Dremel, and then used my Dremel to sand the edges so it wasn't a safety hazard. I paper mache'd the whole thing. If I had time, I would have sanded this as well, but I did it pretty last minute. Once the paper mache was dry, I just painted it with white acrylic paint. You could also add a layer of gesso primer. I made the little gems on his hat out of foam clay and painted them with nail varnish. The stripes on his helmet I cut out of EVA foam. I primed them with Mod Podge and then painted them purple. I then used Wellbun to attach some craft glitter. I made the mistake of not sealing these straight away, which I really regret. Even with a good adhesive, the glitter fell off. I definitely sealed them with Mod Podge straight away. Primed the silver pieces with Plasti Dip, then sprayed them with this silver chrome paint. I also sprayed some earrings for accessories. This could have been smoother, but I did it in a rush. I also made a belt buckle out of foam. Ended up falling off before I even got to the con, but I followed the same steps with priming it with Mod Podge, covering it with purple glitter, and I put some rhinestones around the border. For the brain SFX, I originally made it with a silicone brain mold and some leftover foam clay that I just painted with acrylic paint. But I left at home the night of the con. Literally at 2 a.m, I remade the brain with a plastic bag, some tissue paper, and some liquid latex.
That, once it's painted in the morning, that's gonna look sick.
Shout out Beauty Bay Man, because their Desert Haze palette saved the day for real. Once it was painted, I also went over the crack outline with a black Sharpie. For his cape, I paid for this pattern online, printed it off, put it together. It took me 2 days. Cut out all the pieces, taped them together to make a mock-up, and then cut all my pieces out on blue velvet fabric. And attached some fusible interfacing just to add some more structure. And once all my pieces had their interfacing, I sewed everything together. I found this purple velvet cape on Vinted that I used for the length of the cape, and attached the purple and blue part of the cape together with some hemming tape. The tights I got from Shein, and the dress I got from Vinted, but originally is from Lipsy London. And then everything else I literally already had in my wardrobe. When I first announced this cosplay, I said I'd set a goal to make it for £50 or under, and I can now reveal that I went £12 over budget. Definitely could have saved money on the cape. I'd bought the purple part of the cape quite impulsively on Vinted before I'd set my budget. And honestly, just buying a meter of purple velvet fabric would have been cheaper. But I would say it was still, for the most part, pretty budget friendly for a DIY cosplay build. I had a lot of fun making it, even though it got really stressful at the end, and picked up a lot of new skills that I can use for future cosplays.